the fastest show in sports.
Sly Stone passed away at the age of 82. And for most people, they'll never know who Sly Stone was, Sylvester Stewart, Sly and the Family Stone from the 60s and the 70s. This guy was a legend in how he changed music and changed rock and roll in so many ways. And Kevin, your generation probably cannot appreciate it, okay, unfortunately, because it simply was a San Francisco sound that changed music, which led me to, with this, Sly Stone was my first concert ever that I went to. It's 1974. I'm a kid, a real kid. Madison Square Garden. My dad bought the tickets, of all people, and to this day, I never asked him why he bought tickets to go see Sly and the Family Stone. It had to be because I had to be on him to get the tickets, or else he was very cool, and I just don't remember it from those days. But we went to Madison Square Garden. We brought a family friend with us. It was my first concert. Stevie Wonder's Talking Book was playing as the warm-up for the concert, which made me a Stevie Wonder fan right then and there. And it was the wedding concert for Sly Stone. He got married before the concert, and he was married by Don Cornelius, the host of Soul Train.
Soul Train.
Soul Train. No, actually, it was Soul Train.
Yeah, right.
So
if you ended up on Soul Train, Kevin, you were like one of the. It was pre-Fly Girls on that one show.
Living Color.
It was Living in Color. It was pre-Fly Girls. It was pre dance routine, backup dancer for Beyonce. It was pre all that. If you were on Soul Train, man, you could dance. I mean, it was unbelievable. If you compared the Soul Train dancing to American Bandstand, it would be like the most stereotypical, like, oh my God, culturally we are just way off as Caucasians.
Mm-hmm. So Don Cornelius performs the ceremony.
My question I was going to ask you, because I was not familiar, obviously, but I've heard of both Soul Train and American Bandstand. I was going to ask you, is it somewhat similar?
Soul Train had soul. I mean, that was the difference. I mean, Don Cornelius was this guy. Hey, welcome to Soul Train. We're here. I'm Don.
Right. Yeah, there's deep baritone.
And we're going to get into some OJs here in just a minute, but first of all, let's go ahead and talk with someone here about the new Temptations hit. I mean, he was cool. It was the whole thing about it. And the thing about the concert was, it was white, black, male, female, young, old. Everybody was getting along to this because it was a great fusion of pop, jazz, soul, and rock and roll. That's what Sly Stone did with Sly and the Family Stone. So I'm sitting there, my first concert ever. I'm enjoying it. Sly gets married. Don Cornelius says, "Do you take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife?" Sly, with the big fro about 9 miles wide, just leans into the microphone and goes, "Yeah."
Yeah.
That's
how many women now, if you ever said yeah, that does not go over well.
Well, the marriage only lasted 2 years. But
that explains.
Here we are.
It must have been an amazing concert. I was reading stuff up on him today, and I'm trying to think of what his main song was. It wasn't "Tell Me Something Good." It was
"Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself." Everyday people.
Thank you for letting me be myself. Yeah.
Again, I mean, he had so many great songs. But I wanted to get to this. The thing about the first concert is, I'm sitting there. Our friend is sitting next to me. She was a daughter of a family friend. And my dad's over here, and just as they got the concert started, the fog is rolling into Madison Square Garden. It is a stone to the bejesus crowd with the wonderful flow of marijuana everywhere. And the guy next to me, probably, I don't know, he was maybe 20s or something. And I'm a kid at this point. I'm not even a teenager yet. He leans over to me and goes, "Kid, you want a hit?"
Yeah.
You toke. You got a toke.
No, I did not. I said, "No, I'm not allowed." My dad is just, "Don't worry, kid. You will. And
Oh,
you'll
that's
like it. And
funny.
you'll like it someday too. Trust me on this. And my dad looks at me. My dad looks at me down the line, and I said, "Dad, is this what it's like to smoke marijuana?" He says, "You'll learn. You'll learn. It's good.
You'll
Let's
learn.
go. Watch this."
Hey, did
But he
dad
was
take
so
did dad
cool
take a
about
rip?
it. But that
Did
was
dad take
my,
a rip?
huh?
Did your dad take a rip?
I don't know. He's sitting 2 people away from me. I would not have been
Okay.
surprised. God rest the man's soul. He passed recently. I miss him so much. But
Yeah.
I bet that he probably did. But just the contact high
Oh yeah.
in the garden was.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
no
yeah.
doubt we walked out of there stoned. It was a great concert, and that was my first. So Mike Wise, first concert.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna blow you guys away. I was 13 years old. It was 1977. My best friend at the time, Richard Goodhind, and me were at Elima Intermediate in Eva Beach, Hawaii, and we both bought tickets. Stood in line for a long time to buy tickets for. Come on, calm down, Nacho. It's not that bad. Sean Cassidy.
Hey,
Sean
everybody,
Cassidy
welcome
was
to
my
Team
first
Beat.
concert. It
Who's
was
Sean
like
Cassidy?
it was so pathetic. We were in the Neil S. Blaisdell Center, which is like the big arena in Hawaii, where Chaminade beat Virginia, by the way, a few years
Okay.
later.
Yeah. I know
And
that
we're
one.
talking 8,000 screaming, prepubescent 12, 13-year-old, 14-year-old girls, and
You two
me and
guys were the
Richard.
only non-12 to 13-year-old girls in the audience to see Sean
I swear to
Cassidy.
God, and it was just screaming. And the sad thing is we didn't tell anybody, but we went home and he bought the Tiger Beats and I bought the albums. And I was like, when I was 16 and I wanted to be Sean Cassidy, and that's where my music career started, and it ended with Def Leppard and Journey, and that's why I have no tastes
So,
when it
Kevin, do
comes
you
to
know who
music.
Sean Cassidy is?
Not a clue. Not
Okay.
a
So he
damn
was,
clue.
oh wow, so he
See,
was
that's
like,
what I knew.
think of
I'm
like,
looking at Kevin right now, and I can tell he's looking at this going, who the hell is Sean Cassidy,
I'm
and
like,
why
who
are
the
you
hell
making
is
fun of
Sean
him?
yeah,
Cassidy?
so Sean Cassidy was a teen idol at a time when, like teen idols were big. I don't even know who would compare today. Probably
Timberlake.
Justin Bieber
Timberlake
pre
back in the day.
adulthood.
Bieber. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he was like,
Yeah.
he was the Taylor Swift, male Taylor Swift of his day. He and his brother
No,
David
no, no.
Cassidy.
Wait a minute. He was not the male Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift has got more talent in her finger than Sean Cassidy had in his whole body. The reason Sean
Okay,
Cassidy
all
was a
right, but
teen idol,
anyway,
the reason, now be honest, the reason Sean Cassidy was a teen idol back then is because his brother, David Cassidy, was a big star in television on The Partridge Family. His mother was
yeah,
Shirley
and his mom,
Jones, who was a well-known actress. His father was
yeah.
David Cassidy. No, no.
Jack
Jack Cassidy.
Hopalong Cassidy.
Jack Cassidy, who was a very well-known actor at the time, so he had all this behind him. So he became a teen idol because he had the family behind him, and David was hoping
Right
to
now,
push
I
him.
know.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he was like, I don't know. Either way, okay, Kev, give me your first
Wait a
concert.
minute. No, wait a minute. We can't get off this for a second. I mean, to this day, are you still happy by saying that as a grown man and as an adult, your first concert was Sean Cassidy?
I mean, I own it. I own it.
Okay.
I actually had this segment. I think it took over my radio show in D.C. one day when there was no sports going on, and I admitted this, and I think I gave listeners I was going to give whoever had the best story about their first concert was I'd send him $100 in the mail, and I did. It took a lot of calls. It took Spice Girls and some cheesy bands that you never heard of, and then this guy calls up, and he's this Stone Cold brother from DC, and he's like, "Yo, man, I got ripped the next day, man, like because I saw Wham." And he was like, and then he goes, I had a shirt like the jitterbug to do the jitter, and he's like, oh, people were killing me at school. It was hilarious, and but everybody finds their tastes, and we either move on or we don't. And unfortunately, well, that's not true. I listen to a lot of stuff now, But
Although I'll wager
yeah,
that Kevin
Sean Cassidy was an embarrassment for the more embarrassing story was actually when my dad, who worked at the Honolulu Star Bulletin as a copy editor in the feature department, got free tickets to Air Supply. And he wanted me to take my sister one night. Now I'm 19, my sister's 17, and I literally took her to Air Supply
Oh
one
my!
night, and I got out of college basketball practice at Hawaii Pacific College, and oh my God, my teammates found out I went to Air Supply, and I was doomed. I was
You're doomed.
dead
Oh
from that
boy,
moment on.
Air
that's a
Supply,
rough.
Kevin, by the way, is one of those.
Hang
This
on,
is
I know Air
you know
Supply.
Air
I know
Supply.
Air Supply.
Okay,
I know
I'm
Air
just
Supply.
I'm
making
all
sure,
out of
man.
love. I
Hang on,
can't
hang
live
on. Hey,
without
you
you.
wanna
How do
you
I
wanna know
mute the
why
microphone
I know
here?
Air Supply? Because driving in the car with my mother, she loved listening to Light 105 up here in Massachusetts, in Rhode Island, and it was just soft rock. That's an Air Supply station. So basically you're sitting in a dentist, and they're sitting in the
Yes,
dentist's office, and they play them, and they can play that music in the waiting room. That's
which
what
is
my
the
mom
same thing.
liked.
I'm all out of love.
Yeah,
Come on, here we go. Come on, everything's gonna be fine, Ed.
you're fine. Suck it up. Um,
You
all
don't know
right.
what's worse, the dentist or the Air Supply. Okay, Kevin, first concert.
Not till college, and it was only because I worked it. The Steve Miller Band. The
That's
first
not
concert I
That's a
bad.
got
pretty good one.
the first concert I got to attend as a fan or just as me where
Fly like
I can go get bleep faced, U2.
Which one?
Oh man,
U2.
what a
You
oh,
too?
I would have paid
I
for
mean, yeah,
that.
U2.
Oh
U2
my!
for the first time. Now, granted, I also was 38, 39 because I wasn't a music guy. So U2 comes around. It's right after my mom died in 2015. And U2's here right after my birthday. They're doing that Innocence and Experience tour. And this was the first leg. We got tickets, and Ed, you know the TD Garden, the 9th floor where the hockey press box is?
Yep.
Go online and I find tickets up there. They opened it for seating.
Wow.
And I went, okay. But I also knew there's not a bad venue, there's not a bad look inside a TD Garden. And I didn't realize the stage went all for that Innocence and Experience tour. The stage went end to end, so you can see everything. And they had a stage in the middle, and that's where we sat. We sat right where I used to sit for hockey games,
Nice.
and we sat up there. We could walk around. You had freedom, and that was basically the Joshua Tree album was the first part of that
I
tour.
was going to say that sounded like Joshua Tree.
That was the Joshua Tree side, where basically there was not one bad song that was played.
Was there
was
an
all-
occasion? Was there an occasion, perhaps, at the TD Garden where there was a, I don't know, a moment or two of airborne magnificence floating through the?
No, I was more I was more on the liquid propulsion.
Well, no, but I know you, but I figured you were more the liquid propulsion. But just
Yeah.
like,
But
was
you
it
two,
in the air? Was it in the air?
A U2 crowd
No,
is
not really.
a U2 crowd is so different now. I mean,
Yes.
I
Yes.
got into U2 way late in life. Frank Isola and me were beat writers for the Knicks, or the New York Daily News, and I was covering the NBA and for the New York Times. And he's like, it was, I don't know, it was a day off between the finals, the Sixers and the Lakers in 2001, pre 9/11. We're at the Philadelphia, whatever the first Union Center, and he's like, "Hey, you want to go to U2? Let's go get him." So we obviously called the 76ers people that paid for some tickets. They were decent seats. And I was like one of these people, like, oh God, U2. They're like, I always thought when the people started listening to them, they'd go out like rollerblades, Well, oh
Yeah.
my God, I got into that concert. I started traveling with them for 6 years. I went and saw like 12 shows in different cities. Boston, by the way, Kevin, I never heard them. Was it the Elevation tour or the Vertigo tour? Maybe it's the Vertigo tour. I never heard a louder crowd in my life, probably because all the Irish connections.
Yep.
But
Oh, yeah.
oh my God! But it wasn't just the music, the sound. I got out of there feeling like the world was a better place when U2 finished.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like, wow.
I have only
It was
seen
like
you two
a
once,
spirit. It
and
was almost like a spiritual experience.
I
Well,
wish I
so
would
the-
have seen them in their prime. I mean, at
Right.
this point, because U2 is a lot like a lot of bands right now. Whereas you watch people come in, you have to count those who have canes and walkers to figure out how
Yes.
they're going to get to their seats. It's just
Well, and the other
But
thing
they
is,
got a lot. They got a lot of young people too now.
Well,
but I'm
that's
here.
what I'd love to go to.
This is also, and I am not going on a political rant. Just hear me out for a moment. Everyone now will speak. Most of these artists will speak a lot more at these concerts, given the climate of our country over the last 8 years. And so I went back to that U2. So we did Innocence first. 2 years later, they did The Experience. Same setup, newer songs. But on that back half, between every song, so this is now 2017. 2017, we know what's happening. Bono wouldn't shut up. And it's like, for the love of God, I just want to hear you sing.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
No, I heard that too. Like,
yes.
Yeah, no, even like, look, you know me, like, some days I'm left of Michael Moore, I need to be stopped. I go harder to my left than Jalen Brunson most of the time. And so
Yeah.
I guess what I would, but the problem is, of course, is you don't, look, I love that when they start up the Pride song, they have Martin Luther King up there. And I love that, but for a while they were like all into this Myanmar, political prisoner Aung San Suu Kyi, who ended up they were so influential. They helped free her, and she ends up becoming this dictator and killing the Rohingya. Like sicking the military on the Rohingya. Like nobody's perfect. And but
Right.
and I like their liberal slant, but it's so over the top. There was a great Onion headline you would have loved. Kevin, when U2 band members pissed off at Bono, and the story went on to say that can you stop being such a fucking activist all the time and just do a concert for us?
Right. Yeah,
It was hilarious.
by the way, back to Steve Miller real quick.
Real quick, and then we got to go on to basketball. We're running out of time.
Never mind.
Oh, yeah.
No. Talk to the Steve Miller.
It was the first time I'd ever really been to a concert, but that was also the first time, A, I'm looking going, wow, this is pretty cool. B, I go, I'm working security at Hofstra's gym. I'm patting people down who are coming in, and yet I go, shit, I guess I didn't do my job too good. Yep, there was a lot of that was when I went. I looked at one of my bosses and I said, "Hey, does everyone get absolutely baked out of their minds at these?" And they go, "Oh yeah." He says, "Don't worry." He says, "You didn't fail." I went, "Okay, good."
Just remember that first moment.
Yep.
One hit, kid.
Yeah. Hey, kid, you want some?
That's all, folks.